Hey everyone, happy Friday. It's Friday. We've made it. It's Jo of SportsGrid. It's time for a Pocket with Jo. I'm super excited for these three games today. I like the dogs today. I'm not going to lie. We're going to take some big risks, big chances at least. I am, call me crazy, but I do think there's a lot of opportunity. We look at Edmonton rolling into this one off that loss. First night of a back to back. If you take anything away from that, look at that. The LA Kings on deck for them tomorrow. So we have the three games to go over. We're going to go over each and every one of them. I want to remind you guys, if you are not yet downloading that SportsGrid app, what are you waiting for? Make sure you go over and check it out. There's so much over there, so much content, so many bet, save, and rank their bets, and you can follow your favorite hosts. So go check it out. I see all of your comments coming in. Yeah, some easy money. Last night we were able to cash a bunch of those. So let's get going. Scott Farrell, definitely someone that I should have on the Joe Madden Sports podcast. Thank you for checking it all out. And yeah, Logan Cooley over Connor Bedard for the rookie, just because Connor Bedard's going to be out too long. So let's make some freaking money. I see all of your prop bets coming in. How can you not like Corey Perry over that 1.5 shots in that matchup versus the Anaheim Ducks? I do think that is a really solid way to go. So let's get into breaking down these games. I could sit here and just talk with you guys about everything else forever, but the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Minnesota Wild. First game up on deck. This one kicks off at 8:10 Eastern tonight. We do have the Pittsburgh Penguins coming in at minus 128. They're the favorite here on the road, and the Minnesota Wild at plus 106. Now, that total of 6.5, it is juiced to the under at minus 132. I think this is a 4-3 game, you guys. So if you believe, like I do, that this is going to be a tighter game, but a higher scoring one. Like I could see 3-3 going into OT. I love the over 6.5. That's getting us plus money at plus 108. And I have to go there with it. We look at this matchup, and Marc-Andre Fleury is in net for the Minnesota Wild. Now they do have a big ceremony for him tonight. And if you didn't know, he was with the Pittsburgh Penguins before. So I do think this is a really good, solid play on Marc-Andre Fleury, still to go over the 27.5 save shots on goal. They're going to make you pay juice at minus 130, though. But looking at him, I do expect him to perform solid in this. The Pittsburgh Penguins have been firing a lot, averaging 33.2 shots on net per game. Now, their face-off is absolutely incredible. They are winning the face-off 55.5% of the time. And facing the Minnesota Wild, they will continue to win these faceoffs because the Wilds just won't be able to compete in that area. So I do see a lot of shots coming on Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, they won the last matchup back in December, the Pittsburgh Penguins, in that 4-3 style game. And they've won 9 of the last 10. So I understand why they are the favorite here. They were minus 125 earlier in the day. Like I said, now minus 128. So we haven't seen that much movement in it. They've won the last 4 straight, and 2 of those 4, they have covered the puck line. I just think it's too much of a tight battle here. I do think the Minnesota Wild on home ice are getting kind of disrespected with this line. Now, Nedeljkovic is in net, and I nailed his name. That's such a hard name for me to say is his name. I'm not even going to try it again, but he's in net tonight for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's got a 2.60 goals against average and a 0.918 save percentage. I do think he comes out, but I'm still seeing him allowing those 3 goals. I tried to look at the team total here of the Wild over 2.5. It was too highly juiced in that one. They're off a win in which they got the win, but they weren't impressed with themselves. The coaches, the players, everyone said it. They came away with the win over the Chicago Blackhawks 2-1, their first game back out on the ice. And I just don't like what we saw out of them in that game. So I do think I understand why the books are putting them as a home dog, but I think we'll get more out of them tonight. I expect them to at least find the back of the net 3 times. Now, when we look at Marc-Andre Fleury versus the Pittsburgh Penguins in his career, he's 4-4. So he has split those games versus them with a 3.19 goals against average and a save percentage of 900. So looking at that, I really do think 4-3 game, we're going to see Fleury allow those goals to come in by the Pittsburgh Penguins. And we know how strong this Penguins team has been at being able to get those goals. When we look at Sidney Crosby here for the anytime goal, the anytime goals coming in at plus 130, 51 points on the season. That's 27 goals for him, 24 assists in the 47 games. And then Kaprizov, you got to look at him on the other side for the Minnesota Wild. He has just been really the difference maker for this team. When he wasn't on the ice, this team couldn't score. So anytime goal for Kiprusoff at plus 145. Now we've got 45 points out of him so far on the season, 19 goals and 26 assists. So if you want to look at that assist tonight, I don't blame you, but I do think Kiprusoff will find the back of the net. You can look at longer shots like Ryan Hartman there for the Minnesota Wild. I don't hate him either. And then looking at those points coming in for the Pittsburgh Penguins, because I do think it's a higher scoring game. You can look at Erik Karlsson. You guys know I like an offensive defenseman. He's been able to get a point on the board in 9 of his last 10 games. Now, his point's a little juicy, but if you're looking for him to get that goal or assist, I don't hate it. Malkin coming in here strong as well. And Chris Letang is another person you definitely want to circle. He's been able to get a point in, I believe it's 4 of the last 10, so not phenomenal, but the value is there in players like that. And Rust here has been able to get a point 50% of the time. So those are the players I'm looking at. Love the over 6.5, love the 4-3 style game here. And Crosby and Kiprusoff are my favorite goal scorers. Now, Marc-Andre Fleury over the 27.5 safe shots on goal, minus 130. I love. He's coming in with a 2.95 goals against average and an 8.97 save percentage. So I do expect him to stand on his head versus his former team. It's going to be a good one. It's really going to be a good one here. So I'm excited. You guys are rolling with the over as well. Faber for the point. I don't hate that either. Oh, you like my plus 250, laying the 8.5 with the 49ers? Okay, so we're pause the hockey talk. Just pause hockey. We'll get back to it just in 1 second. All the money is coming in on KC. This line isn't moving, you guys. Everything looks as fishy as hell. Now, everyone's saying the same things that I said as soon as this line came out. I had grabbed the Kansas City Chiefs on the money line. I'd gone against them the last 2 games. We know how that worked out for them versus the Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens. For myself here, because everyone's on. Everyone and their grandmother's on the Kansas City Chiefs to get the win. So many handicappers keep saying, I think the 49ers are the better team, but it's Kansas City. We can't bet against them. I'm 100% betting against them. I hate how I'd rather be on an island, you guys. And we look at San Francisco. San Francisco is so strong. Their defense hasn't been showing up like we would have expected. And offensively, in the first half of games, Brock Purdy has looked an absolute mess in the last couple of games. So I'm expecting all of these elements to start clicking. Now, looking at George Kittle, he was not impactful in the last game. I expect a huge game out of him. Christian McCaffrey, they have all the offenses. I really do think this will come down to a play by Nick Bosa, a play by the defense here of the 49ers that hasn't been stepping up when we've really thought that they should have been. This is not the defense that we saw before they lost that game too. It was the Minnesota Vikings. You guys remember that pivotal point. They lost the game to the Minnesota Vikings. Then they went kind of on a spiral, and the defense has never looked as good, in my opinion, as that first couple of, 5-6 games, whatever point we were in the season since then. I do think they get back on track, and I think this is the game where they're going to struggle and there's going to be issues, but at the very end, they can cover that 8.5, and I am loving the plus 250. I just had to take it. So if you guys are looking at that, that's where I'm going. Let's get back to talking some hockey. That's what we're here. I avoid you guys being here so very much. So, okay. If you're getting a 6 out there for the total in this game, I would take the over 6. I like it over 6.5. So if that line has moved, FanDuel still has it at 6.5 at plus 108. Look for the outline. Take the over 6.5. The next line, the New York Rangers and the Chicago Blackhawks. Dog day all day for me, you guys, in this one. The Chicago Blackhawks rolling in here at plus 240. The New York Rangers at minus 300. We know who the better team is. We absolutely do. We're never going to make money taking the New York Rangers, laying that money line of 300. We're also not going to make money laying the 1.5 with the New York Rangers at minus 115. I just don't love it there. And yes, they're sitting 13 and 14 on the road on that puck line, but you look at the puck line on the Chicago Blackhawks. So if you do want to take one way or the other, the Chicago Blackhawks laying the 1.5 are coming in at minus 104. I'm going to take them laying or plus the 1.5 and minus 104. And I'm also going to take them straight up on the money line. I think there is extreme value in the Chicago Blackhawks at plus 240. Now the total of 5.5, minus 115 to the over and minus 105 to the over. We have Igor Shesterkin versus Peter Mrazek. We know who the better team is, but I'm looking at the situational spot for the New York Rangers, and I don't love it. They're sitting first in the Metro. Here, they're the better team. We completely know that. This is a one-off road trip. So they've been at home. They got the win over the Colorado Avalanche on Monday. Man, they made us sweat for that one in OT. So that was a 2-1 win right out of the All-Star break. And then Wednesday, 2 nights ago, they played the Tampa Bay Lightning, getting the win 3-1. That was stressful. We had the Lightning's team total under 2.5. You never want to take the Lightning under on those team totals, but we did, and we cashed. I do think this is a situation where the New York Rangers can overlook the Chicago Blackhawks here. One-off road game. They're back home for their next one. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I think the value here on Chicago, the best bet is Chicago plus the 1.5. But you guys know if I'm looking at Chicago plus the 1.5, thinking that they should be able to keep this one tight, I will sprinkle always on that money line. Now they've got a hard schedule ahead of them. So Chicago after this game, they have Vancouver and then the Pittsburgh Penguins. So this is a hard road stance. They have lost their last 5, but they have every opportunity to pull it off here. Now, the last time these teams played, the Rangers wiped the floor with them back on January 4th, getting that big 4-1 win, and they have won the last 2 games, holding the Chicago Blackhawks to 1 goal in both of those. So there's a couple ways you could look at this as well. You could look at the Chicago Blackhawks team total. The books aren't going to give you any value under 2.5. That's coming at minus 182. I could see this finishing a 2-1 game for either of these teams. I do think it's low scoring. I don't think the New York Rangers come out and look to light the lamp. I think this is a defensive battle out there. So I am looking here at Chicago to be able to at least keep it tight. They're sitting 8th in the Central. So if you don't want to lay or if you don't want to grab them on the money line, I don't blame you. Look at this team, worst face-off in the whole league, only winning 45.4% of the faceoffs, and the New York Rangers winning 54.1%. They also have the fourth best power play in the league at 26.6%, while the Chicago Blackhawks, their power play is non-existent. It is the worst. I'm just expecting the New York Rangers to overlook Chicago tonight and that upset to come in. So plus 1.5, best bet. I'm sprinkling. If you like that there, Seth Jones for the anytime goals coming in at plus 750. You guys know I've been circling him as of late, waiting for that goal to come in. Nick Philangio coming in at plus 370. So Ferlino, sorry, you pronounce his name. I do like Ferlino here to be able to light the lamp as well. The value is there. The last time these teams met up, we did see Blackwell be able to score on his former team. He is with the Chicago Blackhawks, so he scored on the New York Rangers, and Trocheck was able to score or actually get 3 assists versus the Chicago Blackhawks, and that was his old team. So kind of like trading back and forth. Panarin as well was able to, Panarin, not Trocheck. Panarin was able to score. Trocheck was able to get 3 assists. So it was definitely an interesting game between them in the last one, but I do think there's value here. And there's also value with the Anaheim Ducks. I know you guys are calling me crazy right now. It's okay. Don't bet bad teams and expect good results. I know, Kelly, there's, betting the bad teams, but I do think the situational, and I love the situational here for these dogs in this one. So plus 2 for Chicago. Yeah, you could look at Chicago plus 2, and you could also look at Chicago plus 2 and the Anaheim Ducks plus 2 and combine those together. I don't hate that as well. Chicago sucks right now, Kelly. I completely agree with you. I just think the New York Rangers could be in a bad spot tonight. One-off road games I never like for teams, especially when they played 2 really hard opponents and they've dug so deep to be able to get those wins. What they were able to do versus the Tampa Bay Lightning defensively had to wear them out. They also had to go to overtime on Monday. Coming back out of the All-Star break, this is their 3rd game here on a Friday night. They started on a Monday, and it's a one-off road trip, and then they head back home. I have to go with the Chicago Blackhawks. The Edmonton Oilers taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Now, Edmonton, sadly, their streak was broken. You guys all know that. They're minus 300 tonight over the Anaheim Ducks, plus 240. For the Ducks, total 6.5. Now, minus 110 to either side of this. Okay. Couple things I'm thinking here. I do think the Ducks, this is their first game out of the break. They won those last two going into the break. First game out, they saw Edmonton fall to the Vegas Golden Knights in a game where it was heartbreaking to see that empty netter come because Vegas's defensive abilities holding their opponents to under those two goals was blown by that empty netter by the Vegas Golden Knights. But I look at this one here and I kind of go, we're looking at an Edmonton team off a devastating loss. They have the LA Kings on deck tomorrow. This is another situation I absolutely hate. The Oilers here on that puck line. You're looking at a puck line here because they're minus 300 on the money line at minus 118, laying a goal and a half. Now they're only 10 and 13 on the road on that puck line. The Ducks are not a team that I have a lot of faith or trust in. John Gibson is in net tonight, though. And I do expect him to go over his save shots on goal. That number coming in at 29.5 save shots on goal. Part of that play is because I do think this is a more open game for the Edmonton Oilers. With the Kings on deck tomorrow, they know that they're going to absolutely have to lock down defensively. This LA Kings team coming out of this break is going to be a very hard team for Edmonton tomorrow. Edmonton is definitely looking ahead to the matchup within the Pacific. You look at Edmonton, they're sitting third in the Pacific right now. The LA Kings are sitting fourth. Yes, the Ducks are in the Pacific, but the Ducks are so far back. They're sitting seventh in the Pacific right now. They've got a record of 18, 30, and 2. They're 18, 17, and 1 at home this season. Edmonton is not looking at this game. They play 8 o'clock Eastern tonight versus the Ducks, 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow versus the Kings. The Kings is the game that's circled. So if you're like me and you like to look at those situational spots, which is huge for me when looking at an underdog, this is a game for you because the Ducks plus 1.5, I do think has the value. Again, you're looking at the Ducks plus 1.5 at minus 102. I'm sprinkling on that money line at plus 240. Now, another way you could look at the Ducks, because I do think this is going to be a more open game. Connor Pitchard in net, not Stuart Skinner tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. While this Edmonton Oilers defense has been so phenomenally strong, I expect that not to happen in this game. I expect it to be a more open game. Now, you can take Edmonton's team total over 3.5. It's too juicy at minus 164, or just a game over 6.5. And that's probably your safest bet. If you don't want to get behind the Ducks, which, guys, I don't love betting the Ducks either, but over 6.5 at minus 110, because I do think the Ducks score 3 goals in this one. You take the Ducks team total over 2.5, that's coming in at plus 108. Yes, Edmonton's held all of these opponents. The last 14 games before Vegas, 2 or less goals out of all of their opponents. So you're looking at a Ducks team to break that trend, because it really didn't get broken versus Vegas. I don't count those empty netters, but we're counting on the Ducks. Who did the Ducks have? Like, name 10, like 5 players on the Ducks. It's really hard. But I do think this is absolutely possible tonight. I think it's a more free, open game for Edmonton with the Kings tomorrow. So Edmonton first period, I love. We've seen these teams come off losses, go out firing to get revenge. Boston was able to do it in their last game after Calgary destroyed them in that game. So I do think Edmonton here, frustrated off that loss in the first period. You can look at them laying the half a goal. Only thing that scares me is the books are giving us plus 108 on Edmonton laying the half a goal. So I don't love that. The over 1.5, but I'm going to bet it. I just don't love they're giving us plus money. I thought it was going to come in at minus 112. So I'm interested with that. The over 1.5 coming in at minus 138, I do think is a solid way to look. I just don't think we get the full effort out of Edmonton not looking to be tired for tomorrow, taking on a harder team in the Pacific. But when you look at Edmonton versus the Ducks, they have steamrolled over them. They won December 31st, 7-2. They've won the last 5 versus the Ducks and covered the puck line in all of them. So I don't blame you guys if you think I'm absolutely nuts. Out of the 2 dogs that I like tonight, the big dogs, the Chicago Blackhawks and the Anaheim Ducks, one of them is winning. You know one of them is going to come in and win. They're at least covering that puck line. Give me both of the dogs at plus 1.5. So that's where I'm going, you guys. Chip, loving the Ducks tonight as well. First game puck line. I would look at the puck line for the first period. You know Edmonton's got to be so frustrated after what Vegas was able to do to them at the end there. Did not Edmonton sweep LA and Anaheim last time they played back in California? Edmonton has played really strong against the LA Kings, but you're looking at opponents within your own division. And while the Ducks are 7th, you gotta look. They are battling it out with the Kings between 3rd and 4th spot. If we saw these two teams go opposite ways into the break too. The Kings absolutely struggling. They need to get back on track. And we look at Edmonton. Edmonton rolled in so hot. They had that winning streak broken. I do think they're looking ahead to the Kings tomorrow. Tomorrow night under. Kelly, I am so glad you brought that up. Under all day long between the Kings and Edmonton tomorrow. It is an absolutely phenomenal bet. I don't even care if it comes in at 5.5 on your book. I would still take it under. I think that is a 2-1 style game, 3-2 at the worst, under 5.5 all day long. If they're giving you a 6.5, I'd alt it to the under 5.5 and get more points. Yeah, I love Fleury for his saves and Gibson for his saves tonight. I think that is a phenomenal way to go, looking at both of those goaltenders. So we have John Gibson coming in here, 3.05 goals against average, a 901 save percentage. And now his save shots on goal tonight, 29.5. I do think he can save over that. We know Edmonton fires and they try to light the lamp as much as possible. This team's ability to just drive down that ice and get those high danger shots is insane. So he has to be at his best tonight. The only way that both of these dogs have an opportunity of covering the puck line and getting the win is if their goaltending are on our goaltenders are on point, if I can talk. So I'm big on John Gibson tonight. I absolutely think he has to stand on his head. We look here, Edmonton averaging 33.7 shots on goal per game. The Ducks also can't take those penalties. The Ducks, the most penalized team in the whole league. So this is going to be a true test for them coming out of this break if they can play a clean game versus Edmonton here. I think Edmonton tries to play a little bit of a scrappy game. The frustrations on them are going to be right as soon as they get out on the ice. So I do like that. I just hate the look ahead for Edmonton. So if you're looking at Edmonton, I love them first period. After that, what we saw last night. You look at last night's game. So we had so many games last night, but when we look at the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche, or not the Colorado Avalanche, the Arizona Coyotes game, we saw the Vegas Golden Knights get up 3-1 in that first period. It looked like it was going to steamroll completely over the total, that Vegas was going to completely dominate in that game. The Arizona Coyotes covered the puck line plus 1.5. There was no value. The books absolutely knew that. I said to you guys going into yesterday's game, I wanted more value on Arizona. What were they? Plus 114 underdogs. There was a reason why. Vegas, off that emotional win, started off hot. And then, the Coyotes just hung in there. I can see it happening with the two dogs tonight. We could see the favorites going up, absolutely, to start these games. The sheer panic when that's happening in your betting, I know you guys, I was panicked for Vegas and Colorado last night. I thought for sure that total was done. It wasn't under 5.5, and we had 4 goals in the first period and still able to cash. So don't stress too much, you guys. Make sure you check those lines. The live betting of these games has been phenomenal, especially when you see those high-scoring first periods and you're able to get some more value on that total. Chip asking here, what time tomorrow? Tomorrow. There's games kicking off at 11 my time, so that's 9 a.m. Eastern. Right? 11 my time, 1 a.m. No, 1. Going the wrong way. So I'll do a couple of Puckett Cup of Joes in the morning, so catch those, but I will post a time. I probably would say before that second set of games. So the 1 o'clock games, we won't be live for, we'll be live after that. So let's plan for noon tomorrow, my time. So that's 2 o'clock Eastern. We will go live. So thank you for asking. Yeah, Thomas, I said it. How many times do you want me to say it? I think the Oilers are losing tonight to the Anaheim Ducks. It makes me feel sick to say, but if you're worried about that, just take Edmonton first period puck line. You're getting that at plus 108 again. Kind of weird that you're getting plus money on that, but I think it's going to be a good way. 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, 1 p.m. Eastern. So I'll go live at 2 p.m. Eastern after those first games kick off. That is for sure. Okay, I'm just looking at the rest of your comments, you guys, but let's have a good day. 4.5 and like the 3 games. What 3? Bet the overs on this weekend. Okay, if we're quickly looking at which games, I would look to go over on tomorrow's slate. Tomorrow we have Calgary versus the Islanders. That has a 6.5. It's plus 104 to the over and under. Now, I do think with Calgary, how strong this team has been coming out offensively, and with the Islanders at home, even though their defense is tightening up, I would look at that to the over, but I have to double check who is in net. There is talks about Jacob Markstrom. It's rumoring that he is gone, going to be traded from Calgary. There was a new goaltender out there on the ice. Dustin Wolf has been pulled up. So wait on that. Wait to see. The Vancouver Canucks, they're going to come out with a vengeance off that shutout loss. They're taking on the Detroit Red Wings. That is a road game there. We know the Red Wings can score and has so much power, and it's going to be interesting because all of these guys, lots of them were playing at the All-Star game together. I think that one goes over. That's a 6.5 at minus 114. If the Montreal Canadiens have Sam Montague in net, I would take them right now plus 1.5 at minus 137 versus the Dallas Stars. Not sure who's going to be in net for these games, though, you guys. And then the Boston Bruins, they're a huge favorite versus the Washington Capitals. We have the Colorado Avalanche and the Florida Panthers. I think that's an under game all day long. Both of those defenses really need to lock down. Colorado's been allowing those goals on the road, though, kind of concerning there. Again, you got to check the goaltending matchups in a lot of these, but first look, I would be looking at the under 6.5. The Flyers and the Kraken. Give me the Kraken. I tell you, this Flyers team, I don't trust in them, and I know they've come out of the All-Star break strong, but this team has so many issues. The Seattle Kraken should get off to a hot start. Plus 100 for them there. That total of 5.5. I would take that to the over as well. I think that is a 4-2 game for the Kraken. And then the Devils and the Carolina Hurricanes, man, that's a hard one to take to the over. We got total 6.5, minus 110 to both. We know the Devils want to play a hard offensive game. They're coming off the loss to the Calgary Flames, and the Carolina Hurricanes phenomenal at locking down defensively. If Ranta is in goal for the Carolina Hurricanes, look for that one to go over that total of 6.5 at minus 110. Look at the Devils team total as well. That would be a really interesting look. If the Devils team total is sitting at 2.5 and you're not laying too much juice, I would look at that one. The Pittsburgh Penguins will be on the second night of a back-to-back facing the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets, if Connor Hellebuck is in goal at home, which he should be because we got Boussois the other night, I would be tempted to take it to the over, but not willing to take it to the over. You're actually having to lay juice over at minus 134. I would look at the under at plus 110. And it all depends on how the Pittsburgh Penguins play tonight as well. But the Winnipeg Jets, they need to keep playing those strong defensive games. And I do think if you're looking at that one, I'd look at the Pittsburgh Penguins team total to the under. And I wouldn't touch the full game. I lean to the under, but I wouldn't touch the full game because I do think the Winnipeg Jets, off that bad loss, could light the lamp and push us over that total, but I think the Penguins will struggle to score. Toronto and Ottawa, there's our over. This is the over that I love tomorrow. We have the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Ottawa Senators. We know the goaltending, Samsonov hasn't been too phenomenal for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You look at the Ottawa Senators here. Corpuscello, I would guess, would get the start. So minus 138 to the over 6.5. We're going to lose value on that. I do think that's the best line you're going to get at minus 138. Tomorrow, I bet you it's up to minus 145. But I do think that highly goes over that total. These two teams, they can both score those goals, and Toronto's going to come out with it. So I'd look at that one. I'd also look at the Lightning's team total. They take on the Columbus Blue Jackets off that game that they had versus the Avs. They're going to light the lamp. So that's where I'm going, you guys. We've already started tomorrow's card. That was the first time looking at it. So thanks for putting up with me as I thought in my head. But you guys, let's have a great weekend. Let's make some pucking money out there. Rematch for the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah, they need to come back, and they need to answer back in that one after they lost the last. So, yeah, it really does depend, Doug, on who's in net tomorrow for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we'll see what happens there. There's so many college basketball games. You are absolutely right. Right now, if I like any of them, no, but stay tuned to my Twitter. I normally try to put up anything that I'm really liking on there. So appreciate you guys. Yeah, happy Friday. You guys, let me know what you're doing. It's Friday night. It's Friday night before Super Bowl. I'm headed out. I'm going to go have a fun night. And yeah. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.